Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us here at the ASTV Sports Show. I'm your host, Theo M Tutkaluk, here at Assiniboine Curling Club. Thank you for joining us here on ASTV, the #1 source for all your amateur sports. We're going to talk about field surfaces, ice surfaces, and many different ice surfaces on tonight's show, including the Winnipeg Ringette League, this past weekend championship at IG Field. We'll also have a chance to catch up with the Manitoba Female Midget Hockey League in both Ashley Van Aggelen and Mr. Eugene Kaminsky. We'll talk about the Winnipeg Ice. We'll talk with Mr. Bill Johnson and football-related issues at IG Field. The championship weekend, some great youngsters, and the old Dunch Cruncher program that finished a couple weekends back. As well, we've got our gentleman here, Mr. Kevin Young, who's going to talk Manitoba Junior Curling Tour, and we're going to have two different teams joining us this evening to talk about their previous weekends and what's leading up to finals weekend here at Assiniboine Curling Club, November 29th to December 1st, right here on ASTV with all the games. We'll be right back with the Manitoba Ringette League, gentlemen. We'll talk about the league as it just started, their wonderful website, how I had learned a lot about Ringette, and their upcoming 10th All-Star game here in December. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Eddie Weiss from Metalmaster. You had an accident? Sometimes they're embarrassing, but they're always inconvenient. We have an incredible staff to take care of you. We have platinum certified techs in 4 different categories. We are certified as a gold class accredited shop. If you've made a claim already, perfect. Call us with your claim number. If you need a claim opened, give us a call. We'll walk you through it. Sometimes you can get a little nervous dealing with MPI. We'll help you out. Metalmaster Auto Body. We'll straighten it out.
The 4 Points by Sheraton, Winnipeg South. Conveniently located on South Pembina Highway near the Trans-Canada Bypass and 1 hour from the U.S. border crossing. Offering a saltwater pool, hot tub, 24-hour fitness center, restaurant, and lounge.
Back here on the ASTV Sports Show at Assiniboine Curling Club. Joining me now are gentlemen from the Winnipeg Ringette League. My apologies there, Mr. Garlick, Mr. Blahut, and the man who has quite the reputation to be liked and disliked because of his scheduling, Mr. Frank Decker. Good evening. Thanks for joining me, gentlemen. How are we doing today?
Great. Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.
Right on. So I'm going to start with Frank because I love the website. I think that looks fantastic, but you have such an amazing job ahead of you. How many teams, how many games have to be scheduled, and how do you keep it so organized?
Well, it's 140 odd teams, and each team plays 4 home games per half. So that's in the order of 550 games per half. Do that twice, and then I have to schedule the playoffs. Now, I can't take credit for the scheduling. If I had to do it manually, it would take forever. I don't even know how to start. There is an application which is part of the website, and that gives me some of the tools for scheduling. Some of it still is done manually, but there's a lot of automation to it. And not everybody's happy with the schedule, but the tool works fairly well, and it gets all the games scheduled. Some
credit will be given to you, of course. Now we're talking about how many participants in Winnipeg Ringette alone.
It's got to be close to 3,000 participants.
That's amazing. And has that number gone up or gone down over the last little bit, Al?
It's gone up and down. Right now we're on a big upturn. It's really popular. It's always been called the sport for life, and it truly is. You have players that have, they play from the U10 division all the way up to U19. Then a lot of them will semi-retire or just stop playing for a couple of years. So they go to school or get married, and then they come back. We have teams that have mother and daughter on the same team, and we have teams that mother and daughter play against each other. So it's all a lot of fun, and definitely a sport for life.
It's a sport for life, but I've also, remember in the previous conversation you and I had, it's also the fastest sport on ice.
Fastest game on ice, absolutely.
There we go. So the Open League, how many divisions is the Open League, and what does that constitute compared to an age group?
Well, the Open League is over 18, over 18 years old. They're split into 5 divisions based on ability of the team. We tend to rate them at the beginning of the season. Sometimes, most of the times we get it right. There are times where a team didn't materialize, didn't gel as much as one would think. So then at the Christmas break, we will move them down 1 division or so. The Open 1 team is your most competitive. Your Open 5 team is your most recreational players. They all play the same amount of games. They play 16 games in the regular season, and then they move on to guaranteed 2-game playoffs and possibly win gold medal in the middle of or end of March.
So the season goes to the end of March. We had some recipients of some scholarships from the Winnipeg Ringette League, 4 of them, in a 5th one that was sponsored by Royal LePage.
Absolutely. The Winnipeg Ringette League has sponsored for a number of years now 4 scholarships, $500 cash scholarships for players that have been in the Winnipeg Ringette League for a couple of years and are moving on after grade 12 into whether it's university, Red River, or any type of post-secondary education. They would be can apply for, make application for a scholarship. We also, this year, we had a new sponsor, real estate agent Chris Cavell from Royal LePage on Henderson Highway has agreed to sponsor his own scholarship for the Winnipeg Ringette League, and the winner of that was one of the 5 winners this last couple of weeks, where we gave away $2,500 in scholarships. So we feel very proud of that and very excited for the number of applications and number of scholarships that have been made.
That's fantastic news, and some good money used for those kids, especially when they go into their next level of playing as well, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, Miles, is there anything you haven't done in Ringette?
I was going to say I haven't played, but I did play at a media game one time, so I did have a chance to play a game, so yes.
So your experience in this sport is quite lengthy. I mean, talk about over 35 years of experience.
35 years, yes.
What has been the most exciting part of the sport that you've seen in your eyes over those 30 years and its progression of the sport?
Some of the recent rule changes regarding the 30-second clock and implementing the free play line to engage more players in the game more often instead of maybe sitting back in a zone where they couldn't go in. So they've made the zones a little smaller so the play gets a little more intense, and the 30-second clock where the players have 30 seconds to get a shot on net, and then if not, they lose the rings. It's encouraged a lot more active play rather than some teams trying to just kill the ring, kill the clock to win a game. So that's been a great change to the sport.
Fabulous. Now, going back to the website real quick, because we were talking about the banner off air, how if you refresh or how you go back and visit all the time, there's a new nuance, or there's a new rule, did you know kind of thing on the left side. And I noticed some of them that I'm not aware of. The 30-second rule was one of them that you brought up, Miles. One that I wasn't quite aware of was the 3 in if you're short and the 4 in rule. Can you help explain that to me, gentlemen?
Sure. At the top of the face-off circles in hockey, but the free pass circles in Ringette that they're called, there's the free play line, which everybody calls the Ringette line if they're a hockey player or hockey parent. So across that line, you're allowed 3 offensive and 3 defensive players in that zone, the goalkeeper being a fourth for the defense. On a penalty situation, on one penalty, you're still only allowed 3 and 3, but if you get a second penalty, the defense has to go down to 2 players, so then it becomes a 3-on-2, and goals are usually scored in a 3-and-2 situations. It's highly probable that that's a shorthanded goal coming against you. So that encourages those 3 teams, the teams that have the 3 in and 3 out. Players can change on the fly and go in, so you're not stuck in that zone. So if you're getting tired, you need to get out. You switch your player across the free play line, and it keeps it moving, which is better than the old system where players had to stay out of a zone the whole entire time.
So it's involving more players. It's getting review of players. It's also making the game more exciting, right, Frank?
I believe so, yes.
So on the ice, what is the best part of Ringette that you like to watch and be a part of?
Oh, you're asking me. I actually like the when there's especially a 3-on, like 5-on-3, where there's a double penalty. That makes it really exciting. Obviously, a lot harder, a lot more challenging for the defense, but it makes the offensive part of the game much more challenging, much more exciting.
So the 5-on-3 is where the excitement's at?
I'd say I enjoy the 5-on-3s.
Now, is there an overtime in Ringette?
In league games, no. For playoffs, there is overtime. and overtime is anywhere from 5 minutes for the city playoffs, and then when they do other league provincials, they go to 20-minute periods, so they go 20-minute overtimes. So there is overtime, yes.
Is it a sudden death or is it a full?
First goal wins.
First goal wins. So we get it done, get it good, all said in love and war, right?
Right, and then the National Ringette League teams, they play a 5-minute overtime, then they go to a shootout for their league games for that.
Now, is it a 5-on-5 or does it go down to a 3-on-3?
No, still 5-on-5.
Still 5-on-5? Okay, so I'm going to ask this question to you all, gentlemen, because upcoming in December, the end of December, it's the 11th annual Boston Pizza Winnipeg Ringette League All-Star Game. When does the selection, or how do the teams get selected for that?
Well, first of all, the first part of the All-Star Game starts with the Vickers Automotive Group U14 Skills Competition, sponsored by Vickers Chevrolet and the Vickers Automotive Group out in Transcona. Each U14 coach is asked to choose a player for each of the categories, fastest skater, hardest shot, and the goaltender challenge. Many teams are rostering 2 goalies, and because of that, we will allow both goalies to come and be part of it. Being a goaltender is, you're either loved or you're hated, depending on what just happened. And if we can do something to make their life better, we're good for that. Each coach chooses one for each of those categories, and they go and have a lot of the teams will have their own mini contest to see who wins, and the winner of that will be moved on to the skills competition. If you go onto the Winnipeg Ringette League website, you will see a U14 skills competition how-to video that have been placed up there this year, and it shows how each skill is to be done, judged, and scored. And then they'll have a better idea. Picture's worth 1,000 words, and a video's even better than that, right? So,
absolutely.
Then we move on to the U19 Boston Pizza Winnipeg Ringette League All-Star Game. We have 2 divisions. We have the U14 or U19A and the U19B division. We start off with the A division, and we have 2 teams from U19A playing against each other. The coaches will choose those players for us. One of our rules is that you cannot have played before. U19 division is a 3-year division. They're 16, 17, and 18-year-olds. So we would prefer that if you're an 18-year-old and haven't played yet and would like to, and if your coach feels that you would be a plus, then you would be chosen to be part of this game. And the goalies are chosen by the league. The coaches are chosen by the league. And December 28th, Seven Oaks Arena, noon to 5. Come on out. It's free to get in. Lots of prizes from Boston Pizza and others.
Should be a good weekend out at Seven Oaks.
Excellent weekend.
Myles, you get to call the game.
I do.
How many times have you called? Have you called all 10 before this?
No, I haven't. I'm not sure how many have had people calling. This will be my second in a row, and I'm quite looking forward to it. I have a lot of fun with that, and gonna get the old goal scoring going for that game for
Absolutely.
sure.
No, it's always fun to call a play-by-play. I mean, I do a couple of myself, and what part of it the game is excite you the most when you get to be behind the mic and get the audience riled up?
Well, trying to get that enthusiasm going and trying describing what's out there and having a little bit of fun with it. There's all those cliches that go out there, so I have to try and come up with some of my own. I don't know off the top of my head, not really, but I try and make it fun and exciting in that respect. So it's rather just saying she's got the ring, she goes down the ice. That's not good as a broadcaster to be doing that. So you need some the spinorama or the put it upstairs or grandpa keeps the cookies, those kind of things. You need to throw those in there every once in a while.
Yep, I've done a couple myself. Frank, we look forward to the All-Star game, but more importantly, your involvement with the Winnipeg Ringette League and seeing it from behind the scenes more so. Do you enjoy the recognition that you receive, or is it the fact that it's all about the players?
I'm really looking for it for the players. Try to give them the best schedule, the best opportunities to play. And there are times where people are upset they don't get a slot that they were hoping for. But unfortunately, it doesn't end up being a perfect schedule for everybody. So I do the best I can with what I've got. You're
doing an amazing job with 3,000 participants, close to in Winnipeg Ringette. The All-Star game at the end of December at Seven Oaks, the 28th, 29th. Gentlemen, thanks for joining me very much. I really appreciate the insight on the beginning of the season, and we look forward to talking to you later on in the season to see how the teams are faring.
Good. Thanks a lot.
Right on. We'll be right back with Eugene Kaminsky with AAA Ice. We'll talk about some female midget hockey right after this.
At Super 8 Winnipeg West, we have your comfort in mind with free Wi-Fi and free daily Superstart breakfast. We also have guest laundry facilities, a state-of-the-art fitness center, and a jetted hot tub. Sleep well in a spacious guest room equipped with plush new bedding, a 50-inch flat-screen HD TV, microwave, mini refrigerator, and Keurig coffee maker. Or book a suite with a kitchen, ideal for extended stays. Super 8 Winnipeg West, located...
If you take the first mortgage you're offered, a high interest rate could take your travel budget and send it packing. Before you choose a mortgage, take a second look. Get serious about your mortgage. Contact Case Financial Group today. If you take the biggest mortgage you can get, you might find your budget can't support other important costs, like buying furniture. Don't let your mortgage weigh you down. Get serious about your mortgage. Contact Case Financial Group today.
Want a career in the salon industry but have no experience? Aveda Institute's program is designed to provide aspiring stylists with the solid technical foundations and business tools to achieve your success. With our in-house store and salon, knowledgeable educators, 95% placement, and our 9-month course, we will have you prepared for the demands of the industry. Now accepting applications for our January class, Aveda Institute Winnipeg, Hair School, the way it should be. See us today.
Welcome to MB Seeds. I'm Matt and this is B, and we're a family-run business. We've been operating since 2012, and we sell canola, soybeans, corn, wheat, barley, oats, and peas. We also run a cleaning facility on site just south of Low Farm, where we can clean almost anything that you can grow. Come check us out today.
We are back here on the ASTV Sports Show at Assiniboine Curling Club. Joining me now is head coach Eugene Kaminsky of the Winnipeg AAA Ice Female Midget Hockey League. Say that 5 times fast.
No, I can't.
No, we can't either. How's the feuds with your daughter going on the bench? If you don't mind me asking.
We've had a few, but it's gotten better. It's gotten better.
We have to talk about 2 weekends ago, heading to Etobicoke, just outside Toronto.
Yes.
How was that weekend for the girls and playing in a different province and the different style of play that you might have seen over there?
The very interesting thing for us to have that experience for the girls is to go into a place like Ontario where there's a lot of great hockey players that come out of there. And for them to experience that type of competition is very unique. You see different colored jerseys, which is a huge aspect of it. Play in different venues that they haven't played before. Get the opportunity to travel as a team on a plane and into a hotel room. Gives them that sense of a feel of professionalism, if you will. And trying to get them in that mindset, because a lot of these girls are at some point going to be traveling with colleges and stuff, and so we want to make sure that they're prepared for those types of experience. What it is like a routine to go into a hotel room, be prepared the next morning to play in a game. The competition is always very strong in Ontario. It's probably some of the best hockey that you're going to experience anywhere. Our girls played really well, really well. Unfortunately, we didn't come out on the right side of the score sheet a lot of times, but watching them compete, and I think there's a lot of games that they should have won. And
there were a lot of close games. I mean, there were 3-1 games. There weren't games that were blowouts, which is what I saw off the score sheet. So, very good competition, very strong games. It was 3 or 4. Was it 4 games or 3 games?
We had 5 games.
5 games. Sorry.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we were only come away with the 1 win, but that wasn't because I would say we were overmatched. I'd say that's more of a case of some of the nerves for some of the players. Going up against some great goaltending. We have some great goalies here in Manitoba, but they have fantastic goalies in Ontario. So it was a struggle for our girls to be able to find the net sometimes. And I talked to a few of the scouts that were out there, and they said we just didn't have any puck luck. And it's a weird phrase, but there was some truth to it. Just that sometimes a girl has an open net, and the puck just flips off her stick, and next thing you know, it's not in. So that would seem to be the theme of the weekend. We talked about it, and we learned from it, to be honest with you.
Puck luck, the hockey gods just aren't on your side that weekend. What was the conclusion on that weekend as a team, as a positive note?
Well, on the positive note is we recognize that we're a very strong team. We're a very good team. As a matter of fact, before we went to Etobicoke, we played Swift Current here in Manitoba because they came in. And by all rights, they are the best team in Saskatchewan. And many would view them as one of the top contenders in the country. And we lost to them 1-0 in the last few minutes on a power play goal. So, and again, we competed with them. So we know we can compete with the best teams. And we talked to the girls while we were in Ontario and suggested to them, like, you know where you're at. It's early in the season, like for many teams, but we competed with the best. If we continue to work, if you believe in yourselves and believe in each other, as corny as it sounds, you guys will just see more and more success come through. And when we came back, we were experiencing that.
And you definitely see that with now having a winning streak of 2 in a row thus far. We'll get to that in a second. On your website, the first thing that's mentioned, and normally you talk about the accolades of scoring goals and making assists and shutouts and this and that. On your website, you talk about plus minuses as being the first and foremost point of a successful team. Do you attribute that to being a team game versus, personal stat lines for players?
Like, I know there's a lot of discussion on the value of a plus-minus ranking, and you can argue that it's not a really true indication of an individual player. And I would agree with that. That's not a true indication, because sometimes, like for ourselves, we will put our best defenseman up against their best forward units, or we will have a checking unit up against their best forward. So yeah, they're going to get some goal score on them. But I guess for our indication, really, with that is, it is a team game, as you mentioned. Like, there's so many other factors that go into who you are as a player, plus minus being one of them, points being another one. But as a coach, anecdotally, we can tell there's girls that do a fantastic job, and I mentioned to them about back checking. Back checking is not a stat that you see. But
it's not the most lovable thing to do as well on an ice surface.
Well, totally, and we talk about good habits, and that's what we talked about this past week, is creating good habits, and that's one of the good habits when we lose a puck. So yeah, there's not a stat line for a back check, but in many regards, it turns into scoring opportunities. It turns into taking away scoring opportunities. So for us, plus minus is important in the sense that you recognize that you're not a single person. The points are irrelevant. The points will come. But what we want to see is a good team effort when all 5 are on the ice with the goalie.
So team effort, you mentioned having played a couple games since you've been back from Ontario, now a 2-game winning streak, 1 home, 1 in Central Plains. This week you have 2 home games. What are we looking to continue to build on from the 2-game winning streak, but also the experiences you had in Ontario?
Well, again, our theme right now is good habits. We don't want to get in a situation where we're being lazy players, slow on a back check, slow on a forecheck. This weekend we come up against 2 very quality teams in Yellowhead and Westman. We've played Yellowhead one early in the season, and we were fortunate to win. They're what I consider, along with maybe the Winnipeg Avros, probably the 2 strong teams right now. And so this is going to be an awesome test for us. We're going to be looking forward to challenging one of the top teams, forechecking some of the best defensemen that they're going to have, and creating our own scoring chances from them. And when there's a pushback from them, how do we react to that? And that's going to be really important, because that's going to build them as people, as players.
Okay. How excited is Julia and Liz for this upcoming beginning of November?
You know what, to be fair, we've talked a little bit about it, but we haven't really addressed it that much. I'm very proud of them, and the girls on the team are very proud of them. And I've tried to separate that, and I know Julia and Liz recognize their value to the team and what they're going to be doing. But I know they also know where their priorities are right now. They're focused on helping out the team, and Liz and Julia, without a doubt, can't be doing more than what they're already doing, to be honest with you.
Yeah. They're leading by example. I mean, you're looking at your rookie scoring. It's gone up considerably over the last couple of weeks. I think most of the rookies have at least a point or a goal under them right now, which is awesome. So round-off goaltending or round-off scoring from everywhere is fantastic. I have to ask you one last thing. You mentioned keeping it separate from the game for Julia and Liz. Are they going to be missing any games while they're gone, or is it something that you're going to be able to, maybe perhaps as a team, head down there and watch it play?
Well, there's 2 parts to that. The league, the Manitoba Midget Female Hockey League has sort of shuts down for that week when the Nationals are going to be going on in Morden. So theoretically they're not missing, but they are doing an exhibition game on this coming Sunday, so we will be missing Liz and Julia for that, which is probably the first time I'll be coaching without Julia on the ice for the longest time, because I coached her for 2 years in Bantam, and I don't think she missed a game with me there. Right. So this will be a different, unique experience for me. But at the same point, it's going to ask the other girls on the team to step up. And I think that's going to be really important. We got a lot of quality players. So I'm excited of the opportunity. Gives us a different look. We were missing a player, Martina Barclay, on the past weekend, and we had 8 skaters, and they did a fantastic job.
Well, it seems like the Winnipeg AAA Ice are doing very well in the standings.
Yes.
I believe we're in second place right now, or third.
I guess how you want to argue it. We have the
league in the outside.
We have
right?
the fewest losses of
go.
anybody, but other teams have played more games than we have. So technically, if you look at the score sheet or at the standings, we're definitely, I think, second or third. But yeah,
that's got to be a bit of a tip of the feather in the cap kind of thing for you guys, and
yes,
on to more progression and more success throughout the year. Thanks for joining us, Eugene.
Awesome, thank you
so
much.
Right on. Appreciate catching up AAA female hockey. We'll be right back. We'll talk about some curling action with our team Beaudry, who is looking very nice in their wonderful outfits. We'll be right back. We are back here on ASTV Sports Show at the Assiniboine Curling Club. I'm definitely out of place here. I didn't bring my uniform, but I don't think I have one with this wonderful team in front of me. They were very successful at the Heather Curling Club a couple weekends ago, and we're going to go around the horn, and I'm going to get you introduce y'all. So we'll start here on my right.
I'm Paige Beaudry, and I am the third.
Albert Basnet, I skipped the team, or coached the team, sorry.
Yes, we're dealing with a unisex team. Awesome. There you go. Yourself, right?
I'm Victoria Beaudry, I'm the skip.
I'm Lauren Beaudry, I'm the lead.
And I'm Katie McKenzie, and I'm second.
So we have a Mackenzie, 3 Beaudrys, and one who wants to be a skip. That's awesome. So how are you related, the 3 of you?
Yes.
Yes.
Sisters, cousins?
We're sisters, and she's our cousin.
Awesome. So I'm going to start with the 3 of you real quick. How did you become curling aficionados?
I'm from Ontario, so I grew up curling. My mom brought it into our household, and she did a lot of curling throughout her youth and won a couple college nationals, and we've been at the curling club since we were little, and that's where I grew up. So it was, I don't know, just
Part of your blood.
we had to curl. That's the
You
thing.
had to curl, okay. For the two of you.
Pretty much the same. Like our parents curled. Nothing fancy like winning any championships. They just play like in a league once a week. But I've been curling since I could walk. Like my sisters did it, and we all came out of the Assiniboine Juniors, and yeah, we're still curling today. It hasn't really changed.
Right on.
Well, to add to that, our parents met curling, so it's kind of just like why we're here, really.
I guess
Yeah.
It makes pretty good sense, right? And for yourself?
No one in my family curls. I just came home one day and I was like, I want to curl. And my parents had no idea where it came from, but they put me in just at our community kind of curling club, and I've just loved it ever since.
Right on. So both from St. Vital, and you're from Winnipeg as well?
Yeah.
And you're from Ontario?
Yes, I'm from Fort Francis, Ontario.
Fort Francis, Ontario. Okay, I know where that is. Some people know where that is. How did you make the transition to Winnipeg?
I was in contact with Lauren. I graduated grade 12, and then I stayed back and did an extra year to curl with our high school. And my mom got an email from Lauren's dad, Guy, saying that Lauren was looking for somebody to play with the next year, and heard that I was going up to Brandon for school, and one thinking to another, and we started curling with Katie, and yeah, so that's how I came out here.
So how many years as a team have you been together?
Well, us three have been together for, this is our second season, and we just added Paige this year.
So Paige is like the rookie then?
Sure. From it. I think not quite a rookie, but...
Not a rookie, I mean, because you played the sport for several years, and I have to say, you may think it's simple to do, but it's not. The sport has changed completely with strategy, how to throw a rock, the importance of how heavy a rock is, the timing, how many rocks have to still be in play. Now, being the lead, would you rather have rocks in play, or would you rather knock them out as quick as possible? Because you can't always do that, right? Because you have to leave certain rocks in play, correct?
Well, I like that I throw first because it has the least amount of rocks, so I can mess up and it wouldn't really do that much. Well, it's true. It's really hard to mess up when you're lead because there's only like the maximum of 3 rocks when you're throwing.
There you go.
So it's nice, but I do like being able to like set up the end for everyone. And I know if I don't do that, then we're kind of hooped and we're not going to really be able to get much out of the end, but...
Okay. Who throws second?
I do.
All right, so you have a couple more rocks in play.
Yeah.
Is this when the skip starts thinking about a strategy, starts letting you in on some conversation, or how do we kind of work through those set of rocks? Is it more of a conversation or more of an argument?
Depends on the day.
Depends on the day, okay.
No, it's pretty good. Especially with like the 5 rock rule now, there's a lot more like with strategy and knowing when to like draw around instead of hitting it right away. So there's a lot more to think about that and like just where you're at in the game. So it is a little more pressure because you have to like set up the end at that state. So it's just kind of figuring out that.
So tell me what it means by setting up the end, as in terms of like, are we going for points? Are we going to, get the hammer in the following end? Are we looking to give up points? Is that what you mean by setting it up?
Yeah, pretty much. And if you want to keep it clean, or if you're looking to like get multiple points in that end, stuff like that.
Third, more rocks. You've been told how this end is supposed to go. How many times does it actually work to plan, or is it still a work in progress by the time you get to throw?
Usually it's still a work in progress. I'd say like starting with mine, it could look totally different by the time Tori throws. Like it's kind of
It just happens, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you this question, because you're throwing in front of your skip. What's the one phrase you love to hear, and what's the one phrase you despise hearing from your skip as she's yelling it through the curling club? After you throw.
After I throw?
We won't talk about stuff off the ice. Let's talk about it. When you throw the rock, it's left your hand. Now what is she yelling?
Well, definitely if she starts screaming for them to sweep right when I let go, like you know that there's something wrong. Or if she yells at them to not sweep, just as bad. But
she's pretty quiet on the rink.
No.
No.
You know when Tori's like into it, when she like just gets that like loud voice and just like really deep kind of thing. You know, it's like, oh, okay, wait, this is serious. But
okay. I'm going to ask you this one question. How do you keep all of these females in control? How much coaching is actually involved during the game? Unless you want to skip.
They work together quite well, so it's just making sure we got a strategy before we start the game and make sure that they understand if they got to switch strategy during the game for other obvious reasons. Something's not going our way. But usually they usually stick to a game plan well enough that they can look after themselves. They're usually, I don't have call time on a lot. Pretty good.
Okay, good. I know there's some timeouts now. What is your favorite phrase to yell out there during a game?
I don't know. I just like yelling at them.
We know.
Pipes, does she have a nickname?
no.
No?
No.
No? Okay.
We should think of one though.
Yeah.
That idea.
We have one solid month of several events coming up here. We finished on top at the Heather, correct, winning that event. We have a couple more. What events do we have coming up for the month of November before we get to championship finals weekend at the end?
We have
Petersfield, and
in
then
2 weeks, followed by the Brandon Sun Life Junior Challenge.
Okay.
And then to finish off the month, we have the Curl Manitoba Birthspiel for the junior provincials.
The MJCT provincials, right? Which will happen at this club?
That's the weekend.
That's the weekend after. Yeah. Oh, so we have 3, okay.
Yeah.
So you have quite a busy weekend. How do you get the rest of your life fitting into a busy curling life? Is there a life outside of curling?
Not really.
How much practice time do you have? Do you practice?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's a
Yeah.
good yes. Okay.
Probably like once a week at least.
As a team?
At least like the 3 of us, because it's hard for Tori since she's in Brandon.
So you still make the commute from Brandon to Winnipeg? That's dedication, ladies, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that she knows, yes, okay. I have to ask you this one last question before we go. Winnipeg, Manitoba, the province develops and has the most curlers per capita in the world. Who did you follow when you were growing up? If it was your parents, awesome, but if there was a curler out there that you wanted to emulate your game behind, who would it be?
Jennifer Jones for sure. Like coming from the St. Vital Curling Club, like she was a household name. Yeah.
I'd say the same. Jennifer Jones. I've been watching her since I can remember. Like I always wanted to be her out there, winning the gold medal at the Olympics, and yeah, it'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'd probably say the same thing. I actually never watched a lot of curling growing up, and still to this day don't watch a lot of it, but definitely when she went to the Olympics, that was where I kind of was like, yeah, I want to be like that for sure.
Tori, is it Manitoban or Ontario player?
Ontario, Rachel Holman.
Oh.
As soon as she came out really young into the Women's League, I was just very excited that we had someone from Ontario to look up to. That was before Ontario split into our 2, Northern Ontario and Ontario, but Holman all the way.
Okay. Do you smile more than Rachel does?
Oh.
Rachel doesn't smile very much, does she? Unless she wins.
I'd say if we're losing, Tori doesn't smile too much.
Okay.
Yeah.
If we're winning, she's happy.
Of course, there it is, right? Well, we hope we have some winning games here in the month of November. We look forward to seeing you at the end of the month, and good luck to your rink. And congratulations on great-looking unis and your wonderful time on the ice this week. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. We're going to talk about another surface, the football surface, and Bill Johnson is going to join us with Football Manitoba right after this.
Hi, I'm Nettie Weiss from Metalmaster. You had an accident? Sometimes they're embarrassing, but they're always inconvenient. We have an incredible staff to take care of you. We have platinum certified techs in 4 different categories. We are certified as a gold class accredited shop. If you've made a claim already, perfect. Call us with your claim number. If you need a claim opened, give us a call. We'll walk you through it. Sometimes you can get a little nervous dealing with MPI. We'll help you out. From Metalmaster Auto Body, we'll straighten it out.
If you take the first mortgage you're offered, a high interest rate could take your travel budget and send it packing. Before you choose a mortgage, take a second look. Get serious about your mortgage. Contact Case Financial Group today. If you take the biggest mortgage you can get, you might find your budget can't support other important costs, like buying furniture. Don't let your mortgage weigh you down. Get serious about your mortgage. Contact Case Financial Group today.
At Super 8 Winnipeg West, we have your comfort in mind with free Wi-Fi and free daily Superstart breakfast. We also have guest laundry facilities, a state-of-the-art fitness center, and a jetted hot tub. Sleep well in a spacious guest room equipped with plush new bedding, a 50-inch flat-screen HD TV, microwave, mini refrigerator, and Keurig coffee maker. Or book a suite with a kitchen, ideal for extended stays. Super 8 Winnipeg West, located just inside.
Back here on the ASTV Sports Show. A different arena for us now. We'll switch gears from a curling rink to a football field. Bill Johnson joins me, the executive director from Football Manitoba. Great weekend. But before we get to championship weekend, we got to talk about our crunchers. Yeah, those old Dutch crunchers. How much fun did they have playing inside at U of W?
I think that they loved it almost as much as their parents loved being inside this time of year. It was great. It was a lot of fun. We had 3 games going at a time here at the U of W Recplex, and just an awesome facility. It was a great time. Buzz and Boomer were out, and the kids were chucking there with footballs flying all over that place, and they had a great time.
That's awesome. How exciting is it to see youngsters like that become so passionate about a sport like football? I loved it when I was 6. I mean, I remember being on the field with 35 and 58. We talked about this hours and hours and hours, but how important is it to see these youngsters getting involved in a game that is, ones we love?
It's the coolest thing when you see kids having fun. That's what it comes down. And it was a lot of fun. I remember there's one play I remember vividly where they're all lined up on the line of scrimmage. There was some kind of delay. They were waiting to get the ball in or something like that. And the kids started dancing on one team. They started doing a little dance. And then the kids on the other side of the line started dancing against them. And then the referee joined and he started dancing too. And you see all these people dancing. They're just having a great time. And that's what it's all about, right?
That's
enjoying
exactly what it's all about. And I guess it's not really a winner or a loser. It's just more of a participation thing at the time of the Old Dutch Crunchers.
Yeah, it's teaching a lot of fundamentals and enjoying the game.
Absolutely. Any 40-yard passes at all?
Not a lot. The field was only 35 yards long there. So
30-yard passes? Okay.
It's actually some amazing feats of athleticism. When you're talking about young people under 10 years old, it's amazing to watch some of the things they can do.
That's awesome.
Better athletes than I ever was.
I'm sure. Probably put me to shame too when I was 7 or 8 years old. Let's get to last weekend, Bill. Lots of games on the go. The A championships were held at respective fields across Winnipeg. Right. Let's get to some of those results.
Sure, I got my cheat sheets here.
Good.
I can tell you the Adams 6A championship, Charleswood won that one against St. James, so that was a good game. The Pee Wee A, they were just semifinals because our Pee Wee A's, actually with that weather we had a couple weeks ago, they got delayed. So they're actually playing next weekend. Awesome. It's going to be Fort Garry and Sunrise playing next weekend. That'll be at Fort Garry's Field. So you can check that out at mbmfa.com is the website for the league, and they'll have the time and exact day and time, location, everything posted on there, so you can check that out. So there's still, we're not done with football yet.
Oh, no.
The Adam 9-a-side championships for the A division was at North Winnipeg, and North Winnipeg won that one against Corydon. So that was a great game too.
Nomads.
Yeah, and then there was the big games at IGF, of course, the AA championships, and we started off with the major juniors.
Okay.
And that was East Side won that one 23-14 versus St. Vital. You'll see a little bit of a theme here. Then we did our 6-a-side Adams in the next morning on Sunday morning. East Side won that one. That was a great game. 53-52 was the final score against the Falcons. It was just
if you took the over on the sports select, you made some money.
Yeah, that 6-a-side is a whole new division for the Adams, and it's great. Tons of touches for the kids.
Good.
They all get to touch the ball, lots of scoring. They love it. So, and then the 9-a-side Adams, East Side won that one as well, 40-18 against St. Vital. So that was another great game. Pee Wee AA championships in a game that was a little bit close to my heart. My son's Valor Patriots Pee Wee team managed to squeak by Charleswood Broncos 34-24, so that was a big one. And then the last game of the night was the Bantam Championship. Started snowing about halfway through, so the weather held off nicely for us. And then Falcons Football Club won that one 42-12 against Fort Garry Lions.
And that's the run of it, eh? So Saturday was a lot better weather compared to Sunday.
It was.
If you were playing on a Saturday, you were liking the life. You were enjoying the fact that it was a plus temperature versus, I guess, the ambiance and the fleckle of snow once in a while on a Sunday doesn't hurt. Because that's what Canadian football is all about, right?
It was hovering around 0. It wasn't so bad. Last year, I think it was about 15 below when we played those games. So it was a lot nicer. The kids don't mind. They're out there having a good time, enjoying the game. And like I said, last game it started to snow a little bit. Snow gets a bit treacherous sometimes, a little bit slippery on the field, but it held off, and it was a great day.
Talk about the touches with that 53-52 game, was there a lot of so the offensive scores were definitely there. Was there any highlights in any of the games that you were able to catch up? I mean, the one dear to your heart perspective. I mean,
there was just so many. We actually have a new rule in Atom and Pee Wee football this year, put forth by Football Canada, that every third play at least has to be a passing play now. And at first, it was a struggle for the kids because it's something they're not used to. They run the fast kid gets the ball and he runs. That's what they do.
Yeah.
But over the course of the year, and especially into this weekend, you saw the pass routes were crisp, receivers catching great balls, quarterbacks putting it out there. It was awesome to see. It made for a really, really good game.
We had a wonderful time had a wonderful time catching up with some of the players during the press conference down at the Sport for Life building. And I have to be amazed by telling you, as an organization, the ladies and gentlemen involved in football, man, the programming and playing, have the utmost respect for the sport, for its officials, and its own players at sportsmanship. Does that attest to the fact that we have Football Manitoba breeding proper volunteers in coaching? And does that help having, those proper people in the right places?
Well, that's actually really good to hear, because we've made it a focus this year to put a lot the respect back in the game. We've had a couple instances over the last couple of years, as all sports do, where there's been some things that have gone on, maybe a coach being disrespectful to an official, things like that, and we've really tried to address those and put respect back in the game. So, as an example, prior to games now, at the Bantam and underage, kids go out and they read a player oath, and they just remind everyone in the crowd. They read it to the crowd, and they just remind everyone, hey, we're here for fun. We're just kids. We want to enjoy this. Our coaches are volunteers. The referees are human. They're going to make some mistakes. No one's handing out college scholarships. Let's just have fun with this. And it's really changed the atmosphere around the games a lot.
Very impressive. I was very happy to hear some of the words by some of the players during that conference, and giving out shouts out to their mom and their dad and thanking them for all they do. And it's very cool to see, because you see that attachment to family and community with the sport of football and all other sports. I think it's very fantastic to see. So congratulations on a great season for them. We still have high school going on, Division 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, they
saw
got
some of the scores. They got pushed back a week. So their championships are going to be happening when?
They're going to be happening. Their playoffs are this coming week, and then their championships will start the following week, and they're scattered throughout the week, different bowl games. WHSFL's website will have all that information for the exact times and teams involved. They will know that as the playoffs wrap up, and then
so some seedings still have to happen there. So we got that going on.
The weather holds for another couple weeks.
Oh, I hope so, baby. Can't play those ones indoors. Yeah. Last but not least, we've mentioned a couple times, Bill, you and I talked about our flag football program.
Yeah.
Are we still having some room for participants in registration?
We have 4 more days of registration. Friday it closes, and we have about 40 spots left. So that's we're just about at capacity now. We're just filling in a couple spots on teams here and there. So our roster of teams is full. Now we're just filling in some holes on rosters. So if you want a chance to play, get signed up as soon as possible.
And that can be found on footballmanitoba.com. It's right there. Just click on the big, huge image and get your son or daughter involved. They're a great program. Great to see the numbers increased as well for flag football. Bill Johnson, thanks for joining me. Look forward to catching up with you in a couple of weeks as we end off this month.
Thank you very much.
Right on. Bill Johnson. We'll be right back. Talk about some more ring action and some rocks with our boys from Team Klimpke, as well as Mr. Young, who's going to step in and join us there as well. We'll be right back on the ASTV Sports Show.
Jungle. Audio Jungle.
The 4 Points by Sheraton, Winnipeg South. Conveniently located on South Pembina Highway near the Trans-Canada Bypass and 1 hour from the U.S. border crossing. Offering a saltwater pool, hot tub, 24-hour fitness center, restaurant, and lounge.
Here we are at Assiniboine Curling Club, ASTV Sports Show, where you will see us live December 1st for the MJCT Finals here on ASTV, your source for amateur sports, your number one place to find your amateur sports broadcasting here in Manitoba. Joining me now, Kevin Young from the MJCT, who's wearing a new beautiful emblem, courtesy of Asham and MJCT, which we'll get to in a second, and Skip from Team Klimpke. Emerson joins us as well. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Fabulous. I see you're wearing some bright colors. I didn't get the memo on wearing bright colors either, but that looks very nice, supporting some of the sponsors. I have to ask you both, how important is it to get sponsorship for the team throughout the year?
Overall, sponsorship deals with a majority of reasons such as berth entries, hotel stays, transportation, room heads, just equipment in general, with the help of local sponsors such as Access, especially as our platinum sponsor. It allows us to curl throughout the season with ease practically. So
it helps out tremendously. And Kevin, talk about the league sponsorship. I know we've got Asham on the sweater right now. How important is it, and how great is it to have the group from Asham helping out the MJCT this year?
Well, Asham is synonymous with Manitoba Junior Curling Program. So to have Asham come on board now and to have the Asham MJCT, that partnership is something new for us. We haven't embraced that before. So to have Asham as that primary partnership is huge. So this is hot off the presses. This is just brand new. I think I've had it for a week. That's it.
It's a one-off, basically.
No, there's more
coming. Okay.
The hoodies are available at Asham right now, as are T-shirts and curling mitts too, for anybody who's interested. So but it's not just Asham. It's also Connor Negevin and Rolla Page and then Teen Talk as well. So we already have 3 or 4 that are out there, and we have a lot more coming too. So
awesome.
Yeah, great to have partners.
Emerson, let's talk about the season with you. You're not sitting in the top. You're making some headway to get up there. What has been the progression for your team through this season?
So far, I'd like to say the addition of our new coach, John Loxton, he has brought a lot to the table so far. And with that, his guidance and his expertise of his previous experience, he has allowed us a lot to succeed along the lines of helping with strategy and a part of the mental aspects of the game, of having a positive headspace. If you get down, you can fight back, and it goes a long ways. At the beginning of the year, we won an event without a coach, which was nice, but to have that extra set of eyes behind the glass to help us along the way, it goes a long ways.
I think that's got to be the largest part of it, maintaining a focus like you mentioned. That extra set of eyes has a different perspective, if you will, to the game when you're heated into the game and you're trying to work on a strategy, but then you have that extra set of eyes to help out. So that's great to hear.
Absolutely.
The rest of the team, who are they? And you guys did fairly well this past weekend.
Yeah, we just came off, unfortunately coming up a little short in the Winkler MJCT finals to Team Bile. It was the 4th game of the day for them, so they had draw weight down pat, and there's a couple shots here and there that could have decided the game differently, but aside from that, I'm really proud of my boys and how they performed, and me being a little bit older than they are, and they feeling the pressure of trying to keep up to what I'm able to do. Like I said, I'm proud of them, and how they performed I'm completely fine with that.
Emerson, how did you start curling? Was it a young age? Was it a family member, a friend that got you into the game?
It was actually a Sunday Little Rockers event in Stonewall that got a group of younger kids that came out. Dana Stewart, she organized it, and you know what, with the help of especially my grandparents. My grandma's by far my biggest supporter. I'm curling, she's there, and just having the ability to learn from her and to learn from other curlers from Stonewall and just shadowing people, it goes a long ways, and
Did you enjoy the position as a skip? You know, you wanted to be a skip all along, or what's your favorite position to play? Maybe I should ask you that.
You know what? For the longest time, I was a third. And unfortunately, at the end of last season, at the end of provincials, my previous team from Brandon decided to part ways. And I was okay with that. But for the longest time, I didn't have a team until Jaden Rudder came asking one day. And he said he's got Reese, Tim, and himself on board, and they were looking for a skip. So I took on that role. And so far, it's been a good season, and we're jockeying position for the finals here at the end of the month.
Yeah, end of the month is going to be a pretty exciting time for both of you gentlemen. Kevin, I got to ask you this, because this is the one part I can't figure out. Maybe you can help me. How does the scoring point system work for the season?
So if it was an easy way to describe it, I would.
Okay.
But there's not. Here's what I'll say. It depends on the number of teams that are involved in the event. Okay. And the more teams, the more points you get for that final victory. Okay. And the fewer, obviously, conversely, the fewer teams, the fewer points. So each event is unique. I mean, in Winkler, there's a 4-sheet surface. That's all that's there. So you can only have X number of teams. But when you're at the Heather, you can have quite a few. So that's it's a formula that works out individually each time.
So each event has its each number of points.
Unique.
So for example, let's talk to Heather. How many teams can be in the U21, U22 area?
Well, at the Heather, we actually ran a U15 event in the middle of our U21 event.
Oh, wow.
So 8 sheets at the Heather, and the 2 sheets were dedicated to U15, I think, pretty well most of the way through.
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah. And so we ran 6 sheets full of junior men and junior women's through like a normal bond split. So I think we have 3 pools of 5 on the junior men's side at the Heather? Or 4 pools of 4?
I think it was 4
pools of 4. So 16 guys. There are 19 junior men's teams registered with MJCT, and there are 17 girls teams.
Okay. So do you get wins? You get points per win, or do you have to get to the finals to get points?
That's a great question, Theo. You get
if I go
1
5
point.
and 1, how many points am I getting?
5 points just for going 5 and 1.
Okay.
So 1 point per victory. And then if you make the quarterfinals, you get X number of points.
Okay.
If you go on, you go to the semifinals, then you would earn those. If that's where you exit, you would earn those points. If you go on to the finals and you exit, you would earn that, or champion, you would get the most points.
Okay, so you do get points per victory.
Per level. Yeah.
Now, and it also benefits a team to play as many events as possible, right?
Correct.
Is there a limit to how many events each team can play? Like, if there's 10 events, can you register for all 10 events? And
if you want, and you have the budget to support it.
Absolutely. You beat the deadline, you're in.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's first come, first serve. You got the budget, you rock and roll. That's why the sponsors help out tremendously too.
Absolutely.
Okay, so how many more events do we have for your team, Emerson, before we get to finals?
We were going to go up to Swan River this weekend, but we chose just to take it off, as it would have probably been 11 weekends in a row. So we're probably just going to lay back and have a practice weekend. But after this weekend, we're on to Petersfield for the Calflet MGC2. And then quickly, right after, we're off to Brandon for the Sun Life Invitational.
Okay.
After that is the Beaudry Bonspiel, and then the Tour Championships right after that.
So you're going to have 3 solid weekends before you potentially could be back here at the Assiniboine in the finals.
Absolutely.
Or working towards the finals.
Yes.
Now, how many teams, Kevin, make that weekend at the end of November here at the Assiniboine Curling Club?
Great question, Theo. The top 10 teams, junior men's, and the top 10 teams, junior women's, make it through to the tour final.
Okay.
That's why on our website you'll see the top 10, and that's what it's all about, Emerson, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the top 3 teams in the men's side, they're separated by 5 points.
That's right.
And the top 4 teams for the ladies division are separated by only 15.
That's
There's a lot of competition, and any team can basically win at any time, any given moment. It's like basically like backyard football. You come and bring your game, you get to win. But it's backyard curling. You just got to have the right sheet and the right ice surface. Now, Emerson, do you prefer to play at night? Do you prefer to play first in the morning? What's your go-to? Where are you freshest?
You know what? I'm not opposed to that 8 a.m. draw. It's just you show up to the rink and there's nothing better than hopping out on the ice and got coffee in hand, you get the job done, right? So along the lines of time for games, it doesn't really matter, as you just show up with the proper headspace, you should be fairly successful.
Coffee in hand, I like that.
See, not dissimilar from what some of the other folks were saying too. Your guest earlier, everything plays a role here, and this is a very competitive level of curling. You mentioned about the number of curlers per capita basis, but on a competitive, we just had a team go to Alberta, and they have lost in the semifinals. And we had another team go to Ottawa, Zacharias.
Yeah, and Goche.
And Goche, right? And and they came in with hardware.
Yeah.
So everything's in play here. Emerson said he doesn't mind playing 8 in the morning because he's not out like some folks are, to all hours of the morning, right? Because they take this game really seriously. Nutrition-wise, my guys are, they watch what they eat, when they eat, and how they eat it. So
it's a whole different game now.
It's a really complex process.
No, and it's great to see that the wealth of players and the talent and the participation of players in your Manitoba is very strong. I wish you great success and good luck this month, and look forward to seeing you here in that top 10, which I think you will be. I'm pretty sure. And we'll see you here at the end of the month. Again, remember, November 29th to December 1st is the WJCT Championship Weekend. Is that what we're calling it?
Tour Championship.
Tour Championship. Yeah. And we'll be here with ASTV on the finals day on the December 1st with those games live for you in action. Thank you, gentlemen, very much. Look forward to learning about more curling as the month begins and month goes on. And we'll be right back with Ashley Van Aggelen. We'll finish with talking about some more AAA female hockey right after this.
Thanks, man.
At Super 8 Winnipeg West, we have your comfort in mind with free Wi-Fi and free daily Superstart breakfast. We also have guest laundry facilities, a state-of-the-art fitness center, and a jetted hot tub. Sleep well in a spacious guest room equipped with plush new bedding, a 50-inch flat-screen HD TV, microwave, mini refrigerator, and Keurig coffee maker. Or book a suite with a kitchen, ideal for extended stays. Super 8 Winnipeg West, located just inside the perimeter on Portage Avenue.
Welcome to MB Seeds. I'm Matt and this is B, and we're a family-run business. We've been operating since 2012, and we sell canola, soybeans, corn, wheat, barley, oats, and peas. We also run a cleaning facility on site just south of Low Farm, where we can clean almost anything that you can grow. Come check us out today.
If you take the first mortgage you're offered, a high interest rate could take your travel budget and send it packing. Before you choose a mortgage, take a second look. Get serious about your mortgage. Contact Case Financial Group today. If you take the biggest mortgage you can get, you might find your budget can't support other important costs, like buying furniture. Don't let your mortgage weigh you down. Get serious about your mortgage. Contact Case Financial Group today.
Okay.
Here we are back at the Assiniboine Curling Club. With joining me now, Ashley Van Aggelen. She is the queen, I'll say, of Winnipeg AAA female hockey here. How many years have you been involved in this league? Since its inception, correct? Or pretty close?
I've been in the league. This is my 9th year now. I've been with the Avros since it started, but the league was around a few years before the Avros joined it.
So let's talk about the league for a couple minutes here. Very strong, 8 teams. Very good exposure to a lot of the teams now. The scheduling, 6 or 7 games now in the books, league-wise. Eastmen have played 10.
Yes.
Does that give them a bit of an advantage or a disadvantage, do you think, in such a beginning of a league, and they're 7-3?
Even though they've played 10 games, I think some of the other teams have traveled more. So, for instance, I know the Ice were just in Toronto. We just got back from Detroit. Some teams went to Stony Creek. I'm not sure what Eastmen's travel plans have been, but for the overall kind of like who's played how many games, I think we're all pretty close to the same playing field. Okay. Right now, yeah, they do have 10 league games. That'll catch up now that some teams are back from showcases. So into this coming weekend and next week, those numbers should start to even themselves out.
How many games are in regular season play for the AAA?
I believe it's 30.
Okay. So after all 30 and done?
No.
Is it 25 or 30?
I'm wrong. It's 28.
28.
28.
Okay.
28.
Let's get that number. We're good. Around 28, 30. We're good there. Okay.
It's 2 home and away with every team.
There we go. Okay. So, like you said, each team has a win.
Yeah.
No real team has really pulled out.
Yeah.
And no real team has really fallen back. So it shows that the league has really good competition from all 8 teams.
Yeah, this is probably the most competitive I've seen the league. I think it really helps that when certain regions make their teams and players are released, that those players are actually allowed to go play on other AAA teams outside of their own region. And the league has really become the best players in the province versus just the best players in the region. So it's really kind of leveled the playing field. And on any given day, every team's beating everybody right now. So on any given day, it's anyone's game. And yeah, I mean, Eastman's played 10 games, everyone else has played 6 or 7, but everybody's kind of in that running for the top half.
You got to be in your game. You got to be a game.
Yeah,
you can't take a night off, so to speak, right?
We've done it.
And it's happened. Something's happened, right?
But there's not a lot of room for mistakes, no.
Absolutely. So you could say that the league is getting stronger then, right, overall?
Yeah, I mean, the league's always been super strong. We've had our moments in the past where it was really, really, really high caliber with a lot of national team members and stuff like that. It took a lull, and it's kind of back in my mind. I think it's super competitive, and the younger players are getting better, and I think the younger players that are getting better are also filtering into our league, which is really helping the caliber all around.
The caliber of the league and the history of the league has proven and shown and provided some great names, and names that have gone on to Div 1, Div 3, youth sports. I mean, you've had a couple of players in your tenure in the last couple of years to go play at colleges north of the border and south of the border. How do you think the AAA league really prepares the student athlete to make it to the next level?
Well, I can't speak for the other coaches, but I know I can speak for what we do in our program. Our program last year played 72 games, which was 2.5 times the university schedule. So the girls are used to the busy lifestyle. 5-6 showcases, they're used to traveling, and when you're doing 2 home and 2 away, that's kind of the same thing that you'd see with a university program. You know, U of S would come play the Bisons for 2, the Bisons would go out there and play them for 2. They're practicing and working out, they're getting nutrition talks, they're getting scouted, they're learning to mature as a Canadian academic student. So they're kind of getting all the ins and outs of not only how to be a better hockey player, but a better student and a better human. And I think that's one thing that we're super proud of, is so when they do take that next step, the time management is there, and that they can step into a program and be an impact player versus be a first-year player that maybe just has to, get to that level. Whereas right now, a lot of our AAA players are stepping into a program and they're getting there right away.
Absolutely. So leaving this program at that age of senior high school and getting into that next level, are we seeing more ladies taking advantage of that and less saying, my career's done? Does it show what the coaches, the volunteers, and the program itself is doing on a whole showcasing these players, and can it get even stronger?
Yeah, like hockey's come so far, especially since I played. Like right now, the exposure is unbelievable. Depending on what tournaments you go to, at like the Stony Creek tournament we went to had 64 teams in it with 100 and some scouts there.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and then on top of that, like the same thing, we go to Detroit, it's the same amount of scouts, maybe not 120, but close to 70. And you know, there's all the teams now are videotaping their games, and those games are being linked to YouTube channels, so that if coaches are looking to speak to players, you can clip video and send video. And on top of that, I know like our home tournaments, Hockey Manitoba is running the Girls Hockey United in December. Larry Bumstead's running his World Sports School Challenge in February, and all those games are live streamed. So even though university coaches are in season with their own teams and can't travel, they can still sit at their hotel room and click on and live stream one of our games if they're interested in some of our players. So
they get the archive set up.
It's a lot of work on the back end, but when the coaches and players are really dedicated to what they want, then we make it work.
And you know, it's pretty awesome when you get to see a name like that. I mean, I was looking over some of the alumni. Shelby Ram comes to know for me because I talked to Bailey, her older sister, as well.
For sure, yeah.
Shelby's got the asterisk and the 4 asterisks and another more. Like, I think she has more asterisks than her alphabet of her name, which is pretty impressive to see players like that come through the AAA program and have that success here, start off here and then move into...
Absolutely, and I actually had a chance to coach Shelby on the provincial team.
I kind of had to bring her up.
Yeah. No, she's an awesome human being and a great hockey player, and the Brown family's done a lot for hockey in our province and stuff like that. And even like our team's going to Nashville, and when we go to Nashville for our tournament, Wisconsin's playing. Wisconsin won the national championship last year. Their goaltender's Kristen Campbell from Manitoba. Played all 44 games.
You beat me to that punch.
Yeah, and she came from the Westman Wildcats. So, yeah.
That's awesome. I'm going to ask you this last question before I let you go, Ashley. When you talk about competition in the AAA League, that's the regular season, how important is it to see and play teams outside of the AAA schedule here, the 28 games? Because you're playing against, other teams, players of different demographics, different geographies. What is the measure? Are there measuring sticks you use to look and tally how well you played against those teams, and then bringing that back to your regular season play?
Yeah, I mean, for us, we tried our exhibition series and our kind of like our August looks a lot different than in season, obviously. So our August, we're trying to prepare to go to certain showcases, and there's only so many teams formed at that point. So those games are usually against prep schools, and prep schools are trying, like St. Mary's, actually have a really good relationship with Larry, and we do a kind of like a home and away there to prepare ourselves for the preseason, and it's a good measure on where we're both at, and the games are usually pretty close, and I know we did play Balmoral Hall a couple times last year, and Pilot Mountain as well, and I mean, moving forward, we've got to spread the wealth a little bit. You only want to play your league team so many times, and it's a good chance for the kids to experience the hockey at all levels, I guess you can say, in terms of like where everyone kind of fits in. And on any given day, a prep team and a AAA team are super competitive. It could go either way.
Right. The traveling and the scheduling has to be pretty much set in stone by the beginning of the fall, because you have to fit your regular season games in. And you want to make sure you can travel as much as possible to give you that exposure.
Absolutely. Our showcases are booked, but by the time the season's already over, so we just left Detroit, and I've already emailed back to say we're coming back next year. And same with Stony Creek, it's as soon as you leave, are you in? And you have to let them know a year in advance, and that's why a lot of teams don't get in. They get put on a waiting list. If you're not quick on the draw, they're full.
Yep, and those showcases are super important for every team that gets involved. And I guess it offers a bit of help that knowing that if you can set up your travel schedule first for all 8 teams. I mean, you want them to travel, right? You want them to get that exposure, so you're able to fit those games in within the league, correct?
Well, absolutely. We're allowed 3 blackout weekends, so you can do as many as you want preseason, and then you're allowed 3 blackout weekends throughout the league. So in the end, like the Avros are doing, I think it's six showcases this year, but one's are not blacked out by us, it's blacked out by Hockey Manitoba, so it gives us an extra weekend, and then you plan according, and ultimately, it also depends on what your team looks like, right? So I know for us, we want to get scouted by both the Americans and the Canadians, so that's why we do some above the border and some below the border to make sure everyone's getting to see our players. And we do Stony Creek and Detroit because then the scouts get to see them preseason and then mid-season, so they get to see the progress.
It's a complete difference when you see a team in September as opposed to February. Gelling. I mean, you can talk about gelling and chemistry all you want. It matters, absolutely. And you get to see a player in mid-season versus preseason. So one more question. I lied. I apologize.
No problem.
How do you see the league progressing even further this year and into the next couple of years for Winnipeg hockey? Does there need to be any changes? Are we at a pinnacle right now? Or
Well, I think for me personally, I think I don't think we can go up in team, like the amount of teams we have in our league. Right now, Saskatchewan and Alberta have both cut back, and Manitoba's having a hard time getting out of the Prairie Playdown. We haven't had a Manitoba representative at the SO Cup now since Pembina Valley hosted, but it's because they were a host, right? They didn't win it in, they hosted, so we haven't had a representative that actually beat Saskatchewan since Westman went in, maybe it was 08.
It's been a while.
10, maybe it was 2010. I can't quite remember. So Pembina Valley went and they won it all, and then Westman went a couple years later. But we haven't had a representative in a long time, and you know, Saskatchewan's open boundaries. We're not, so they just cut another team. Melville just got cut from their league, and all those kids had to go elsewhere. And because it's open boundaries, the coaches are held accountable for running a good program. And then in Alberta, they just cut down from 9 teams to 6, and whereas Manitoba, we've been adding teams.
Right.
So I think we're good where we are at this point. Hopefully I don't get in trouble for saying that.
It's a double-edged sword. It's a saturation point where if you have one too many two teams, you're not seeing the progression the way you want to see in the league. You want to be competitive. And I think when you mention the 8 teams that are involved this year, you've seen the competition being so close that you're probably right to say that you've got the right number of teams, the right number of players, and the best part of competition here amongst the players. That's fantastic.
Yeah. I absolutely I think the whole releasing from the region and still getting to play is great. And we don't have Norman and Parkland in right now, but those kids have filtered into other places, right? So by them filtering into other places like Pilot Mound or into another AAA team, it's just added to the program. So
excellent. Actually, I love talking hockey. We could probably talk for hours. We'll leave it at that. Real quick, your thoughts on potentially program? I know they took away the western part of it. They've got the Southeast League going on. What are your thoughts on potentially in the next 5 or so years seeing a larger contingency from the NHL?
Well, I mean, that's everyone's goal, right? Every female wants to grow up and be able to play in the women's NHL, and we did it with the WNBA, and they had a really good start to that, and I know they couldn't come to the consensus in terms of our Canadian League versus the American League, but I think if everybody could get on par for the same common goal, I think it would be fantastic for these young girls to have somewhere to look up to. They already look up to all our Olympians, but that is where our Olympians were playing. So how do our Olympians now stay in shape for their years and for their World Championships and for their Olympic years? And I hands down 100% really hope that we do get that league back.
Absolutely. It'd be nice to see.
Yep.
Ashley Van Aggelen with the Winnipeg Avros, talking some AAA midget female hockey. Thanks for joining me. We'll be right back to close out the ASTV Sports Show here live at Assiniboine Curling Club.
At Super 8 Winnipeg West, we have your comfort in mind with free Wi-Fi and free daily Superstart breakfast. We also have guest laundry facilities, a state-of-the-art fitness center, and a jetted hot tub. Sleep well in a spacious guest room equipped with plush new bedding, a 50-inch flat-screen HD TV, microwave, mini refrigerator, and Keurig coffee maker. Or book a suite with a kitchen, ideal for extended stays. Super 8 Winnipeg West, located just inside the perimeter.
Well, there you have it, everyone. Thanks for joining us here at the Assiniboine Curling Club. It won't be the last time you see us here at this beautiful facility on the second floor. We'll be here December 1st showing off the wonderful finals of the MJCT Curling Championship here at the Curling Club. We'll have top 10 from the male and female side that weekend here. So stay tuned on ASTV, your source for amateur sports. This afternoon, I'd like to thank all of our guests, including Eugene Kaminsky, Ashley Van Aggelen, the boys from Winnipeg Ringette League, Bill Johnson, the Executive Director of Football Manitoba, Kevin Young, the Klimpke team and Emerson Klimpke, and Team Beaudry from the women's side. I want to thank everyone for joining us here. Our schedule doesn't lighten up at all. Yours truly will be seeing on Thursdays at 7 o'clock for the On the Ice show involving the Winnipeg Ice, the Rink Hockey Academy, and the Winnipeg Blues as much as possible. We also have the Pilot Mound girls home this Sunday, November 3rd, and they'll be home for that one game shop. The Junior Women's Hockey League, brought to you at the Bell MTS Ipsplex, November 14th through 17th. That will feature the Balmoral Hall Blazers hockey team, who were the champions last year, looking to repeat once again this year, and they'll be facing some teams from all over North America. Again, November 14th through 17th. We'll have that here for you on ASTV. We also have the Pilot Mound Boys Tournament the following weekend, November 22nd through 24th. And that will be down in Pilot Mound, Manitoba. Look forward to seeing some of the boys there take on a slew of 4 or 5 other teams, which should be a great weekend for wonderful hockey in southern Manitoba. We also have the Eastman and Interlake shows November 12th and 26th, and of course our next amateur sports TV sports show will be on the November the 18th, right the weekend after Remembrance Day. I think that's everything. I can't remember anything else I got. Oh, of course, yeah, I forgot to mention. The Assiniboine Curling Club will be hosting you November 29th to December 1st MJCT Championship Week here. And I look forward to seeing you all throughout the week and all throughout the month. Thanks for joining us, making the greatness. Theo Tutkaluk saying good night and have a great weekend.